Interesting development this week from the president's speech at the United Nations General Assembly, which many speech analysts have termed as African-centric, to the very many tribunal judgments from Kano State to Plateau State and Enugu State. And then there is still the call for justice for Mohbad, who died last week. So these are very interesting developments in the country. Thank you so much for joining us today on Standpoint. I am Precious Amayu. But let's turn to one of the many things that a lot of people did not see coming. But those who are watchers of politics in the country say they are not surprised by this move, which is in Ondo State. Indications emerged on Wednesday that members of the Ondo State House of Assembly have commenced the process of impeaching the state deputy governor, Lucky Aiyedatiwa. This is coming following an emergency plenary session summoned by the House of Assembly on Wednesday, with heavy presence of security men at the Assembly gate. At least 23 lawmakers have already appended their signatures supporting the impeachment of Mr. Aiyedatiwa. The deputy governor is under investigation for alleged gross misconduct, misuse of office, and might be eased out of office through impeachment. Meanwhile, the Ondo State House of Assembly has directed the Clerk of the House, Benjamin Jayola, to write a letter to the Deputy Governor over allegation of gross misconduct leveled against him. And we understand that the petition was signed by 9 out of 26 members and was read during plenary presided by the Speaker, Olamide Oladiji. Now let's talk about this particular issue, because it's happened before. We saw this in Ondo in 2020, and people are saying, wow, once again, this is happening. Let's bring in the Senior Special Assistant to the Governor on Special Duties, Dr. Deborah Valley. We also have a lawyer joining us via Zoom, Evans Ufeli, and a youth coordinator in the state. He is a youth advocate and social commentator, Tayo Oluyi. Good to have you all join us.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
All right, so let me start with Tayo Oluyi. What's your thought on this particular impeachment process? How the people of and all right, I understand Tayo is not available. I want to ask him. I went to ask him about how the people of Ondo State are viewing this particular impeachment. But let me go to Dr. Deborah Valley. What is the state as we speak? What is the state of relationship between the governor and the deputy governor?
Oh, well, thank you. Good afternoon. I cannot, well, cordial, I will say, their colleagues, we see as the deputy governor.
And I asked you that question because of the allegations.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Dr. Deborah Valley, the reason I asked you that question because of the allegations that have been leveled against the deputy governor. One of them, and you and I spoke on Wednesday, and one of them you mentioned is that he misused monies meant for palliative to buy a vehicle. And exactly. I'm asking because if that is...
Not to buy, yeah, okay.
You will correct that whilst you speak. If that's one of the allegations and he has a cordial relationship with the governor, were there efforts to call him to order when that was happening, allegedly?
Well, thank you. You see, the mistake we often make is that we believe that the House of Assembly is an appendage of the governor's office, and that is not true. About 2-3 weeks ago, the House of Assembly embarked on its oversight functions across ministries and agencies in the state, and this assertion is verifiable. The governor returned to the country first week of September. This act of gross violation was committed on the 23rd of August. That was before the governor returned. And the members of the House chanced on this information, and they were alarmed. And perhaps they thought that, well, it was because the governor, was not around. And they sought clarifications, only for them to discover that before the governor traveled, he had approved 3 new vehicles out of the 4 requested for by the deputy governor. Hilux van, SUV, Lexus, and bus, and the Hilux bus. the governor had rejected the request for an armored vehicle because the deputy governor still has one. He has one armored vehicle, the SUV with him. He has another Lexus, and the wife also has another one. So this last August, the deputy governor received 2 new vehicles, one Hilux van and another SUV. So when he got wind of the imminent return of the governor, he approved for himself as the acting governor, he approved the purchase of this armored vehicle. Does it know that he caused the acting PS in his office to make the request to him, and he now mailed it to the SSG. That was what the members of the House of Assembly, got hold of. And they asked him to explain. There are other assembly issues, there are other issues, Within 3 months, acts of recklessness. There are other issues, but this one in particular, because he cannot feign ignorance. He had asked the governor for an armored vehicle. The governor said, no, you have one. Now, he approved it for himself. And for you to want to get something as expensive as 300 million naira, there has to be a budget head for it. The federal government released 2 billion naira for palliative. 2 billion for palliative.
Dr. Deborah Valley, at what point did the governor's office become aware of this particular allegation you are making that he has approved armored vehicles beyond just what the State Assembly has now done? At what point did you all become aware of this?
I have the document. I have the document that he signed. I have a copy of the document he signed on the 23rd of August, 2023, approving the purchase of this armored vehicle for himself. I have it. I have a copy.
It would be nice if we can see that. It would be very nice, Dr. Deborah, if we can see that document. But you said he signed it on the 23rd of August. But when did the governor's office become aware?
The governor's office, he was the acting governor. He was the acting governor. The governor was away. The governor came back to the country on the 6th of September, thereabouts, if I'm not mistaken. He was the acting governor. He approved it for himself. The governor came back and resumed immediately. Yeah, because the governor received several complaints of recklessness. And I don't want to be petty. I'm not one of them. I'm not a politician. I don't belong to any political party. The governor brought me from Ibadan to come and assist. I'm a lawyer. And I'm saying this with all sense of responsibility, that the governor came back and resumed immediately because of the recklessness.
All right, I will bring in the lawyer in just a moment, but I want to stay with you because I really want us to get the true picture of things. We have tried to contact the office of the deputy governor. We've not been able to get anyone to represent him in this conversation. But let's talk about how involved the governor is in this impeachment process, because you've talked about the as it were the recklessness of the deputy governor, as you have called it. It seems that there is some animosity there when you use that language. How involved is the governor in this impeachment process?
Well, the governor is not a member of the House of Assembly. The governor is not a member of the House of Assembly. This is strictly the affair of the House of Assembly. And of course, the law is clear on this issue. Section 188 of the 1999 Constitution has amended. It's so clear. If he is not guilty, he is not liable of any allegation, the person dies naturally. Nobody should be afraid of being probed. If he is not culpable, the person dies. As a matter of fact, if he says that the governor knew about it, the governor should be joined. The governor should be joined. Money is meant for palliative should be expended for what it is meant for. It's as simple as that. So, I think it is, we are not going to engage in any childish bring back tantrums about, oh, the governor does not know. The House is a separate arm of government.
All right, I'll come back to you in just a moment. But I want to bring in the lawyer, Evans Ufeli, into the conversation. Evans Ufeli, as you listen to the Senior Special Assistant to the Governor, Dr. Deborah Valley, what can you glean from what he's saying?
Yeah, what I can glean from what he's saying is that there is actually an allegation against the deputy governor, who was acting governor while the substantive governor was away. That is supposed to be the law. The deputy governor was standing as acting governor for the substantive governor when he's away. But he added that there's an allegation of financial recklessness, which borders on misconduct. And in law, where there is a gross misconduct, or where the action of that office had been engaged in gross misconduct, it becomes an impeachable offense. Now, this impeachable offense has 8 steps, which the National Assembly must undergo. The National Assembly, once that is inferred, or once there is that allegation, the National Assembly will exercise its oversight function on the basis of Section 88 and 89 of the 1999 Constitution. The House of Assembly, I mean. Now, the House of Assembly of the states have initiated the proceeding, the first, which is to give notice to the deputy governor. The notice has been issued. Now, once that notice is issued, there is this issue of 1/3 of the members of the House of Assembly must append their signature to that effect. 1/3. That is when the process is initiated and notice is served on him. Then the Speaker of the House, the Constitution says the Speaker shall reduce the details into writing and send to the Deputy Governor. Because what I hear him say is that, and what I read is that they instructed the Clerk of the House. That is not the duty of the Clerk of the House, with due respect to them. They should look at the laws very well, because they too, they want to impeach the Deputy Governor, and they too, they are getting it wrong from the outset. It is the Speaker that will address that to the person, the office holder. Then they go to the next step, where they force the Chief Judge of the state to institute a 7-man committee that will look into the allegation. And we do that 7-man committee, persons of questionable integrity, and they will be engaged in that allegation, look at it, whether it has been proven. And they have 3 months to do that. Now, if it is not proven, the matter dies a natural death. If it's not proven that he committed those infractions, it dies a natural death. But where it is proven that he committed that allegation, then it will be sent back to the House of Assembly. The House of Assembly will now go through it and then make their findings, look at the reports of the House, and then by a 2/3 majority, they will sign off on same, where they find out that he actually committed those infractions. And once that is done, the deputy governor starts impeach. So these processes must be fulfilled. There is nowhere in the Constitution where it says that the clerk of the House shall be engaged in any of the steps that is required to impeach a governor. Allegations can be leveled against anyone. I mean, if you say these are funds that are meant for palliative, of course, we will know the history of this palliative, the removal of subsidy, the concurrent or concomitant effect and hardship that is on Nigerians. And they criticized, a lot of people criticized the president for even handing that funds to governors. And right now, before us, there's an allegation that someone is has already misappropriated the said fund in a particular state. So it's a very sensitive issue. And I believe that this impeachment proceedings is a good one for democracy. It's a good one for democracy because if the allegations turns out to be true, then it will become lessons for those who are in custody of that funds and have intention to embezzle it. But if these allegations are false, then it will die a natural death at the point of the 7-man panel that is meant to look into it. But as we speak, the number they require to sign for the process to take off, they've already gotten the required number. So the next step is what we have to watch and see how they follow this through based on the Constitution.
I guess everything that falls on the panel that the Chief Judge of the state will form. But let's bring in Tayo Oluyi, who is a youth leader and social commentator, in Ondo State as well. Tayo, I want to get your reaction to this as well and how the people of Ondo State are reacting to this impeachment process.
Thank you very much. My name is Tayo once again. I carefully listened to Dr. Deborah Valley, that we popularly call Hybrid, the special advisor to the governor on special duty. To my best knowledge, the people of Ondo State ain't happy about the development because it has to do with the citizens. In the last 3 to 4 months, governors in Ondo State has been reduced to nothing, especially in the height when the fuel subsidy removal and other challenges came up shortly after the inauguration of our President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. When the issue of palliative and every other thing erupted, when other states were profiling solutions, in Ondo State it was nothing to write home about for those who reside in Ondo State. And we felt the citizens of Ondo State felt this is as a result of the fact that our governor is not in town, that probably the acting governor is incapacitated by some limitations and others. But everybody trooped out, even the opposition party, everyone trooped out to pray for the recovery of the governor. And by the grace of God, God in his infinite mercy, brought him back hale, healthy, and alive. But it comes to our utmost surprise that rather than what we feel that the governor should naturally swing into governance and swing to activities that would cheer up and that would naturally make the trust repose in him by the citizens, let him come in, let him start from there. But it comes to a surprise that what we kept on saying is politicking and brigandry within the corridor of power, from the sacking of probably aides to the deputy governor, aides of the governors attached to the deputy governor, and probably subsequently to what we are now, impeachment process, or probably allegations that some of us, citizens of Ondo State, know by obvious facts and reasons that cannot be proven to us. The lawyer said, until it is proven, once it is not proved, we still believe. And it is subjected to the committee and to the state houses of assembly, to go through it thoroughly. And so that is just the reactions that we, the citizens, have on this matter.
You think that these allegations are not true?
The reason why I feel it's not true, personally, and some people who say is, we know in every, we believe, can the deputy governor have the approving power? And outside that, the allegation was the fact that they said he got the 300 million to purchase. And we know who has the purchasing right as far as governance is concerned. We might not be governor, we might not be special advisor, but we as citizens that know the organogram and how things are done in administrative settings. We know the secretary to the state government has the right to purchase whatever thing they want to purchase for government, from the governor to the deputy, even once approvals are given. And at a time in this state, when the governor was not around and Aiyedatiwa was the acting governor, it took people to rise up and say that activities were down in Ondo State. So we were surprised when we come up with the allegation that a person that there was no activity, salaries were not even being paid regularly. When other states were palliative mayors, when people were saying they were bringing CNG buses, when we were rolling out palliative. Ondo State had nothing. It was until even when the governor came 2 weeks ago that they started sharing palliative in Ondo State. So it's still a surprising thing to us to know. Since that it was obvious that nothing was really moving on while the so-called acting governor was acting. So we were surprised to see that the person that did nothing as an acting governor is now the one who's approving 300 million naira to itself. So it's kind of surprising to the citizens of Ondo State.
And in your opinion, what do you think is playing out here?
Politics is obvious. I listened to Dr. Deborah Valley say he's not a member of APC, he's not a politician. Yeah, he says that, but to an extent, if you're not a politician, this is 7th year in government, and yet you are still there actively playing, and yet you are here today. You know, in his opening speech, he said the recklessness of the deputy governor while he was acting. All of these things is obvious that the current issues that is ravaging around the governor's office of Ondo State is the politics within the intra-party politics of people in power. That is just the simple truth.
All right, let me allow Dr. Deborah Valley respond to you. Dr. Deborah Valley, a lot of people will have also agreed with Tayo Louis that, look, this is more about the politics of secession and disloyalty, that, you know, there were insinuations that while the governor was away, the deputy governor was not loyal to him. He had made some moves against the governor, and perhaps that's the consequences he's now facing. I want you to react to that and what Tayo said.
I think before I react to the issue of disloyalty or anything, let me quickly say that it is not true that while the governor was away, the salaries were not paid. That is a lie, a blatant lie. And you can ask any civil servant in Ondo State is not owing 1 kobo. The governor, before he traveled, signed. He was signed. As a matter of fact, before he traveled, 2 weeks before he traveled, the deputy governor went to Ibadan with the file of local government workers, while the commissioner for finance met him shortly, some 2-3 days before he traveled to Germany. He signed. And I'm a staff, I'm a public servant. I am not owed 1 kobo by Ondo State, maybe for the month of September that we are still in. Nobody is owed any salary. So that is just to correct that, wrong, that malicious claim.
Dr. Deborah Valley, it looks like you're muted. We can't hear you anymore.
Of the impeachment of Governor Rashid Ladoja, former governor of Oyo State. In the case of Inokoju and Adeleke, I was privileged to, as a junior counsel then, 2006, I was privileged to have participated at all levels of removal of either the governor or the deputy governor as stipulated in section 188 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. So I'm not going to go into the nitty-gritty of that. So I think that should be left for the House to do. Then of course, at this stage, the deputy governor has been asked to respond. When you hear people say that citizens of Ondo State, who are these citizens of Ondo State? Who are not happy with what? With the members of the House Assembly discharging their responsibility as provided for in the law? Who are these people who are not happy? Then you said, oh, we had an acting governor, and how the document is signed as an acting governor, authorizing the purchase. I have it. I have the document that is signed. And you said, oh, somebody was not allowed to rule, he was not allowed to do anything. There was a summit, a so-called summit developed and held. We are coming to that. He chaired it. He approved it. He approved many files. We have the facts. I don't know what you mean by that. He was not allowed to do what?
You said you have that document, Dr. Deborah Valley. We would like to see that document. But I also want to ask you.
You can see I'm returning from Ibadan now. I'm going to Akure. You can see that I'm in my car.
When you can take your time. When you get to Akure, we would like to get that document. But I wanted to ask you the allegations as well that he was trying to impeach or make impeachment moves against the governor. How true is that?
You see, that's what?
He was trying to make that the deputy governor was trying to make impeachment moves against the governor.
No, that's not true. Well, to the best of my knowledge, I never heard anything about that, about the deputy governor making impeachment moves against the governor. What would he say was his reason? The governor was on medical leave. He saw the permission, he notified the House of Assembly, and when he had to extend it, he notified them. Then when he came back from Germany, he met the members of ESCO. He wrote to the speaker, wrote to the House through the speaker that he had resumed. And he has resumed, that is it. So impeaching that he did what? He should not have fallen sick, or that what? That he should not have fallen sick. So you see, when people talk about politicking, you say, I'm not going to run from a good fight. You say politicking, why not? Why not? Why not? If you say politicking, why not? And in whose interest?
All right, your network seems to be shaky. Let me bring Evans Ofeli into the conversation before we go on a break. Evans, as you listen to both sides speak, do you see a political undertone?
You know why I don't trust impeachment proceedings in Nigeria, especially when it has to do with the states, is because in most states, the House of Assemblies of most states are subservient to the government. In most states, I'm going to be very plain with you. You see, this issue is very, very political, and I have seen the handwritings here. There's been bad blood underneath the whole saga and all that. But the only point where we will get to see the truth is when this is subjected to the panel. The panel is not influenced because the deputy governor have 14 days within which to reply. Okay, and he can do that. He can choose not to do that. But appearing before the panel, he also have a right to appear with the practitioner of his choice. I think it is during this panel and this investigative move that will uncover whether those constitutional infractions are there. Sometimes these constitutional infractions that are brought against the deputy governors in states are actually constitutional infractions that even the substantive governors are involved in. But because we have a weak legislature at the state level, sometimes you see, House members, Speaker of House.
Thanks for staying with us on Standpoint. Once again, there is an impeachment saga in Ondo State. And once again, it is on the deputy governor. And we've been speaking with the senior special assistant to the governor on special duties, Dr. Deborah Valley. We've also been speaking to a youth advocate and social commentator. He's from Ondo State as well, Tayo Lui. We're also joined by a lawyer, Evans Ofeli. And we'll stay with Evans Ofeli now because he was speaking before we went to break. I'll just let you wrap up your thoughts.
Yes, I was saying that it is the investigation of the panel that will actually unravel this thing. And the panel is expected to be independent, not people that are subservient to either part in the case under reference. They must be people of unquestionable integrity. That's what the Constitution says. So even the process of getting that panel in place must also be watched after by the citizens of that state, so that they don't get crops of people who will compromise the process. Because any mistake made in any of the processes, we turn that exercise to a nullity. And that is why the citizens must be involved. Remember, it is a mandate of the citizens that the National Assembly now is questioning right now. So why that is the case, the citizens who donated their mandate and allegiance, because a joint ticket, okay, must also be involved, watch out and see through to the process that they have the right kind of persons in that panel who will do justice, who will look at the issue dispassionately and come up with a report. And when this report is being reconsidered by the House, it must be one that is also dispassionate. And they must get the required number to third majority. You know, to start the process is a 1/3 majority. To start the process is 1/3 of the members. And then to have the process grounded on impeachment is 2/3 of the numbers of persons in the House.
All right, let me bring in Tayo into the conversation because of the issues you just raised. Tayo, how you understand the politics in Ondo, and from what you know about the politics in Ondo, how confident are you that this process of impeachment will be fair, rather, to the deputy governor?
Thank you very much, moderator. I quickly want to respond to what Dr. Deborah Valley said while you were, talking there after me. He said, who are the citizens? This begs. I am a citizen of Ondo State. I am an indigene, not just. I am an indigene of Ondo State, and I think by such, I have the right and right requisite to speak as far as this matter is concerned. Because what is ongoing in Ondo State now, because governors, to an extent, within that the impeachment process has commenced, has been reduced to nothing in Ondo State, and again. You would agree with me that Dr. Aiyedatiwa did partially that what they are doing currently is act of politics. And we believe that instead of going the route of politics, they should face governance as far as Ondo State is concerned. People are lamenting for the adverse effect of fuel subsidy. These things should be faced squarely, not these shenanigans of who becomes who, probably, These are things that we expect them to face. And you also agree with me that the barrister has said that he also agreed that this is politics because one thing has led to another thing. So Deborah Valley has said, he said politics, how? So it's obvious that what we are currently on is an act of their intra-party politics. But we are appealing to them and we are telling them as citizens that we are not appreciative of this current situation. We want governance in Ondo and nothing but more.
And I asked you about how fair you think that the process will be in terms of the investigation, the probe, and the results of that probe.
Well, to me, I wouldn't see the process to being fair. I have nothing to hide and to lie about because it is so obvious, judging by the way Dr. Deborah actually spoke. He is so confident that the process to an extent has been started and concluded. You will recall that he objected to what his learned colleague actually said, the barrister that he also called on to join us, when he said that the process is to go for 3 months. He said when the deputy governor is being served, he has a 14-day ultimatum to respond. And thereafter, a panel will be set up. And you cannot tell me that the panel would naturally go on the 7 days thing to conclude such an huge allegation, because you said
Section 188 of the Constitution.
These are things that are embedded in our Constitution. Now, but when Dr. Deborah will respond, he said he referred to a candidate type of impeachment that happened then in Oyo State, and he said even in this 21st century that we are in, that we are in the renewed hope era, he said we should go back to that kind of era where the deputy governor, probably after being served in 3 days, will just say, I have it times, and it ceased to exist as a deputy governor. So this is why the citizens are also calling. If the process will be transparent and clear enough, ordinarily, if the deputy governor is culpable, I am not his person. I'm not holding brief for him. Yes, if he's culpable, he should face it. But they should allow the process to be, strictly adhered to according to the Constitution, Section 188 as amended in Section 188, 1999 Constitution as amended. It should be followed through. The 14 days to respond should be adhered to. They should allow him to, and he is also saying openly on air, national TV now, that there are evidences. Ordinarily, these evidences should have been flying. They should avail the citizens. We should not be kept in dark. If you have alleged, then it should be proven. So these are things that we have not seen that is making us feel that this kind of process, a shenanigan, might just be a shady thing that we just do, like the ritual with in the political space.
And from the way you sound, Tayo, it almost sounds as though either ways, you don't think that there's a way out for the deputy governor. You don't think that he's going to make it through this process?
To me, I believe you should make it throughout the process, because Nigeria is still a sane society where he should approach the matter with rules that guides the process too. We recollect that the same thing that is happening in Ondo State is also happening in Edo State. And even before the commencement of the process, the deputy governor in Edo State went to court and get an injunction. So I'm not to speak for the deputy governor. I believe he himself is also a man that knows his right from his left. So naturally, but as citizens, we can only appeal that the House of Assembly members that I have known that even since the situation has commenced, members of the Ondo State House of Assembly in their respective constituency has been getting their citizens to tell them, we are not interested in this. As I speak to you, there is a protest that I'm not from Igbokoda, I'm from Akure. There's a protest that broke in the southern senatorial district, Igbokoda to be precise, the Riverine area, telling their lawmakers that they are not interested in this, that they want governance. So naturally, I believe the citizens will cry out, like the lawyer said. He said the citizens too should be allowed to hear their voice, and their voices must also count.
Tayo, I want to clearly ask you this, because I want Dr. Deborah Valley to respond to you. But you made a statement earlier about how governance in Ondo has been grounded for a while. I want to ask you about that. What areas are lacking, and what things that our citizens or residents in Ondo looking to address that has not been addressed?
He only faulted the area of salary. I'm not the Accountant General to prove it, but I know the civil servants will always cry out. At the time, there was a protest in Owopoli. Owopoli was on strike. They resumed not even up to a month. So these are citizens, these are civil servants in Ondo State. But he agreed that other governance areas were technically down, but that they were paying. As at when the governor was not in town, probably if he says they were paying salary, fine. But this was the exact time that the advent of fuel subsidy came on board. You knew what happened in Ogun State, Osun State, in Oyo State, in Edo State, and several other states where the government, came out. Some were sharing palliative in terms of, some were already bringing out buses for their civil servants and for students, and not until when when governor came on board. All of these things in Ondo State, you recall with me that you heard when the government official, one of the Commissioner for Women Affairs, and one of their party leaders in one of our local governments in Akoko had issues. And this came just last week. That was when the governor was already in Ondo State. And he equally made mention of something again while he was talking. He spoke about when the governor came around. And he's a lawyer, and I know he's a learned person who is clear-headed enough to understand that Ondo State people are not getting what they deserve. As we speak, the governor of Ondo State came back in the first week of September, and as we speak, he has not yet stepped his foot in Ondo State. The governor of Ondo State came to Ondo State, and he has signed several things, and he signed it in Ibadan. This process that has commenced, to ordinarily the governor in town, these are things that are begging. The governor is not in town, and yet the deputy governor is a lot.
All right, so Dr. Deborah Valley, let me give you some minutes to respond to Tayo.
You are not giving me, please. You see, you want me to lose.
I'm asking you to respond to Tayo. Please go ahead.
Yeah, please. I mean, because you have said so many things that I think you should also, moderate. Now, the very first thing he said, I don't want to forget. You see, there's always this misapprehension of the workings of government. And you find these among those who think they know everything when they are indeed, exhibiting abysmal ignorance This is not ignorance in the sense that when you talk about governance, you talk about parliamentary proceedings. What has the governor got to do with it? The governor has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with it. Section 188 of the 1999 Constitution has amended the offices of the governor is deputy. That section of the Constitution is about the orders of these two offices because only they enjoy immunity under the law. And if the House decides to ask a question, right to the deputy governor to respond, and the House proceed without the response of the deputy governor, the law says yes, whether he likes to respond or not. That is the law. What is the next stage? The chief judge will be invited to set up a panel of people who are non-partisan and so on and so forth. I mean, the requirements is that. And the panel does not have 3 months. Check your law again. The panel does not have 3 months. You are taking law. If you want to talk law, go and read law. Study law, please. I'm telling you that I participated in the Inokoju and Adeleke, which is the locus classicus in Nigeria today, on impeachment. I was privileged. 2006, I participated. In it. So this is not a matter of opinion. No opinion is sacrosanct. And when you have what has been reduced to rest, you cannot just be talking because you think you have an opinion. However persuasive the opinion may be. You know, however inviting the opinion may be. And when people talk about being indigenous and being this, to start with, I'm not an indigene of Ondo State. My wife is. My children are. My wife is from Igobini. She's also a princess here. And above all, I pay tax in this state. I have an insurable interest in what happens in this state. More than even those who don't live here, who come from outside. I pay tax, I pay my tax here. It's not from this place. I can get my tax clearance. So, you know, I should clear that aspect. Then when you are settled with confidence that civil servants are not paid their salaries.
All right.
I told you that, look, it is a lie that civil servants are not owed one kobo. Now you quickly jump to polytechnic or what? Did not civil servants, is that the issue?
Right, so Dr. Deborah Valley, let me put you on hold because your network is bad. I know you're on the road. Maybe whilst I speak to the lawyer, you would have driven to a place where it has a better network. So let me bring in the lawyer. Mr. Evans Ofeli, while Tayo was speaking, he also referenced Edo State, what's going on in Edo State right now. I want to ask you about, you know, all of this, the office of the deputy governor. It seems to have some level of, there's a way it's been treated over the years by, you know, governments across several states. And we've seen that even with the vice presidency, not just the deputy governor. Is there more that should be done constitutionally to ensure that, look, that office is respected and seen as, equal with that of the governor, as it were? What is missing exactly?
Well, you see, that's very important to the administration of a state. Okay, look at what happened in Ondo State. The governor was sick. If you do not have that office, who would the governor transmit powers to? Okay, so the office is very important. And the reason it's not respected is because we don't have independent legislature. We don't have legislature or parliament at the state level that have a mind of their own. Most of them cross close to the governor and they make a mess of themselves and they rubbish the constitution. The constitution defines an ideal situation. Okay, the constitution creates an ideal situation, and that situation is that where there is infraction, that is where you fix it. In fact, the steps it takes to remove a deputy governor is the same steps it takes to remove a governor. And it's the same step it takes to remove even the president. Those are the steps. They are implicated in Section 447 and Section 188, 1999 Constitutional Amendment. Okay, so the office is respected, but because of politics, usually most governors feel that deputy governors have ambition. They have ambition to take over. They want to, and most governors also have this ambition to want to choose for the state a successor who will be able to close their tracks and all that. So these interests at the tail end of administration in most of the states, if you check the record, in most of the states, before they conclude their tenure, the governor falls out with a deputy governor and vice versa, even at the center. Sometimes you saw the case of Obasanjo and Atikwa. Now, these are issues that are political. They are political issues. Then what the governors or the deputy governors now do is to now, use mischief to engage the State House of Assembly into the wrong. And interests are divided. Even political party interest comes in. Party issues come in. And they start to talk at the party level, they start to talk about anti-party activities. Then at the legislature level, they start to talk about gross misconduct. And from gross misconduct, they begin, once they get the right number, the process is, they kickstart the process of impeachment. And most of the time, they don't get it right. They do it illegally. They throw, and before you know it, they do it illegally. But once attention is drawn to the issue that this is the way it should be done, if it's not done that way, it is illegal. And if you look at the way Peter Obi was impeached in his states, then you look at the process, how it turned out, the errors and the rush and the infraction. You want to correct an infraction, constitutional infraction. And the parliament is supposed to be the custodian of law. They're also going to break and breach the constitution to implement constitutional provision. It is the oath that the deputy governor out of office has brought to defend the constitution. If he flouts any of those oaths, it becomes gross misconduct. That gross misconduct becomes the ground for allegation. That is not enough until the process is pulled through. Okay? So,
but Mr. Ofeli, sorry to interrupt you, but because you're stating a very critical point, and I wanted to ask you also about the time frame. Sometimes, especially in the case of Zamfara State, where that tenure had expired before the deputy governor was reinstalled. I mean, if somebody else was already, in office. So what then happens in that situation, and what can we do to ensure, or what can be done to ensure that, all of this process is done within the time frame of the tenure of where that impeachment process was moved?
If you look at Section 188 of the Constitution, okay, if the tenure of the governor is such that cannot accommodate that process, the impeachment procedure will fail. It will fail because at each interval, the Constitution specifies the duration of time. Now, once this notice is served, the holder of that office have 14 days within which to respond. When they pass that stage, the chief judge of the state is forced to assemble a committee. The 7 months they have 3 months within which to do it. I want to employ all the citizens of Ondo State to go and get a copy of the Constitution and read Section 188 down, all the subsections. And whatever they see there is the law. That is how to count this up so that we don't go back and forth. And these issues are very clear in the law. If there is a state in the past where they have done a kangaroo impeachment, for which it happened under Obasanjo, under Aiyedatiwa, under all that, it happened in across the state, even in some of the states in the Southwest. Those kind of impeachment, even the ones they do in the night, even the ones they organize in hotels, those are not the ones which we endorse in a program where we are speaking to the public and trying to educate the society. The citizens must be involved because it is their mandate that is going to be upturned. If you look at what happened in the Bayelsa State, when Diri had already, this particular man, I can't remember the name now, had already won election, but the adverse party went to court because his running
Oh,
mate had
David Lyon.
David Lyon. Now they had multiple names. It was because of those multiple names that stopped him from. He was already rehearsing a day. Today was in 24 hours. 24 hours to be sworn in when his mandate was withdrawn.
Okay? And that was because of his deputy.
Yes, because of his deputy, because he's the mandate. But when it comes to issues of infraction, because infraction can be inferred that it was not jointly committed and criminal liability is personal, then you now have to face the person in question. But I want to say that.
Evans, let me put you on hold. I have just about a minute or two left, and I want to give it to the Dr. Deborah Valley to wrap his thought. We put him on hold earlier. I'm hoping he's in a better part of the road of the expressway now. Dr. Deborah Valley, please, your final response.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, please go ahead.
Please, I was waiting for you. I was waiting for you. Now, you see, I have so many things to respond to from what that other guy said. And it will appear as if I've been shut out. I'm sorry. But let me quickly say this. Whether it is politics or not, this idea of believing that the House should not work because of a particular office holder, either the governor or the deputy governor, should stop. And who is afraid of probe? If what is submitted before the House is not true, it will be thrown out. If the required number of signatures are not collected, proceed. They cannot put a gun to the head of the chief judge to submit a report that is false. It cannot happen. The idea of people about being a citizen and who is a citizen and who is not. I was talking about being a taxpayer. I was talking about I want to respond to Tayo that look, my wife is an indigent, she's a princess. My children are tax. Not from an insurable interest. In what happens in this place? I simply told the lie openly. But since I'm not, I said, even the acting governor signed. The acting governor signed for 2 months. He was signing, and people were receiving their salaries. Will you act? Yes, will you act? They said the politics was not given. This is a lie.
All right, Dr. Dobowale, you did say that you were short out. You were not. We gave you enough time to speak as well. And if you notice that the other people had more stable network because you are on the road, quite understandably. That's why we had to keep, asking you to put in your hold because of network. But thank you so much for your time and, your contribution to the conversation. The Senior Special Assistant to the Governor on Special Duties, Dr. Doyin Odebowale. Also, very many thanks to Tayo Louis, who is a youth advocate and a social commentator. We also have a lawyer, Evans Ufeli. Thank you all for being part of this conversation. And that's a wrap on Standpoint. Thanks for watching. I am Precious Amayo.